let's talk about pellet choice, which is a very, very important topic. Now, I see lots of stuff on social media, and it's a question that I get asked a lot. Someone's just bought a brand new R12 CLX Pro. They're all excited, as you should be. It's a fantastic rifle. What pellet is best for this rifle? They'll say on social media, and they'll get a load of replies. Mine likes this, mine likes that, mine likes these ones. In reality, the only way you're ever going to find what pellet suits your rifle best is by putting loads of lead down that particular barrel. Now, speaking of barrels, BSA, absolutely legendary cold hammer forged barrels that are regarded around the world as being some of the best barrels ever made. But even they have tiny, minute, minuscule differences between every single barrel they produce. And I'm talking thousands of millimeters, stuff that you cannot see with a human eye. But what I'm trying to get at is you may go into a shop, you may buy an R12 CLX Pro in 177, and there's another one on the shelf right next to it. So you pick that one up as well. You've got both identical rifles down on the range. They look absolutely identical in every single aspect. So you zero the first one with, let's say, what I've got here, Black Stars. Absolutely loves them. That barrel loves the Black Star. It's pellet on pellet at 30 meters. So you put that rifle away, get the other one, which is identical, try and zero Black Stars, and they're not quite as accurate in that rifle for some reason. And the reason is what I've just explained. No two barrels are exactly the same. The only way you're going to get consistent accuracy in your air rifle is to put different types of pellets from different manufacturers through that barrel. Now, BSA produce their own range of premium pellets, and they're actually manufactured by H&N. Now, if you look at any of the leaderboards in British air rifle competition shooting, whether it be hunter field target, bench rest, you'll see that a lot of the top guys and girls are actually using H&N pellets. And that's why BSA went to H&N and said, we want you to produce our pellets for us. So actually, what they've got in the range at the moment is the Black Star, the Silver Star, the flagship Gold Star, and they've got a lead-free alternative called Green Star as well. Now, we all know pellets are quite expensive. Some of them are really expensive to buy. Sort of average around about £14–15 for a tin. Well, BSA has rather cleverly come up with sampler packs. Now, they're doing 177 and 22, and in there you've got all of the 4 brands of their premium pellets in little like test tubes. I'll show you the details on screen in a minute of what you get of each one. You actually get 2 test tubes full of the Gold Star, which is their premium flagship pellet. But I think these retail for around about 13–14 quid. But it's a great way of putting 3 or 4 different types of pellet through your BSA barrel to see which ones it prefers. Incidentally, every single rifle that BSA produces is tested in their factory before it leaves the factory to go to your nearest RFD or gun shop, and they use their own pellets for testing their rifles because their pellets are actually very, very good. So when it comes to actually testing pellets, you want to be really shooting from a bench, on a bag or off a bipod. You want to be shooting at a reasonable distance. So this range is actually set out at 27 meters, which I've got this scope zeroed at the moment. I'm going to record everything through the scope today so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I've got this rifle. It's my trusty R10 SE Super Carbine. I've had this rifle for 7, maybe 8 years, whenever it first came out. It's one of the first ones they ever made. I use it for all of my pest control pretty much. It's a rifle I know intimately, which is if you're performing pest control or if you want to be a good shot down at the range and enter competitions and stuff, you need to get sort of in tune with your rifle, so to speak. Get to know it, get to know its little quirks, and yeah, you'll be a lot more accurate. However, I'm waffling. We're talking about pellets, aren't we? So what I'm going to say is, you may have a rifle that's zeroed with a pellet that you're not quite confident in, and your groups are a little bit slack, but you can hit the bullseye every now and then you get a few flyers. So that rifle is zeroed. This particular rifle, is zeroed with my chosen pellet. I've gone through loads and loads and loads from every manufacturer, different weights, and I've settled on QIS Streamline Heavies, primarily for pest control, but the 100% reason why I choose these pellets is because they are very, very accurate in this barrel on this rifle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5 shots of BSA Gold Star, 5 shots of the Silver Star, then 5 shots of the Black Star, and 5 shots of the Green Star in a different target at 27 metres, and then I'll put 5 shots of my tried and tested QIS down there. The whole point of this exercise is to show you how these pellets group in this particular rifle. Put them in another rifle, they'll perform absolutely differently. But what you're looking for, you're not looking to be hitting the bullseye every time when you take these shots. What you're looking for is grouping. So if you can get those 5 shots within a fingernail grouping at 27 metres, then those pellets are good in your rifle. You'll see what I mean when we look through the scope. So let's start off, shall we, with 5 shots of the Gold Star, and then 5 shots of Silver Star. Let's put this on to record. There we go. Right, I've got this on max magnification, so it might be a little bit wobbly. It's not me, honest. Okay, so I'm going to go top left with 5 shots of the Gold Star. I can already see these are going a little bit high and a little bit to the right. But the grouping is pretty consistent. It doesn't help me sort of talking through it and stuff. I'm going to get a little bit of variation, and it is very windy. But for a first effort with the Gold Stars, that's more than acceptable. So we're on to the Silver Stars now. I'll put 5 of each in these 10-shot mags. So Silver Star. So we go to the target to the right. That went really high and right. And so did that. That's it. Okay, again, at 27 metres, Silver Stars, more than acceptable in this R10 SE. Let's go for the Black Stars. So I'm going to go bottom left here. Okay, onto the Green Stars, bottom right target. pulled that last shot. You probably noticed that I was a little bit too quick on the trigger there, and I knew as soon as I pulled the trigger that I'd pulled that to the left. But looking through the scope, that's actually quite a good group, apart from that last shot that I pulled. So out of all of those pellets that I've just tested, I would say the one that my barrel doesn't like the most is the Black Star, purely because I had two flyers slightly lower and slightly to the right. But as far as testing pellets goes and just using BSA pellets, all of those groups are pretty acceptable to me, to be honest with you. I'll talk a bit in a little while about how you can refine that even more. But let's just say I had an array of 20 different pellets from different manufacturers here. And I know from experience, because I've done it, shooting at a target like that, you'll get 5 or 6 brands or types of pellet. They'll give you a tight group, a thumbnail size group at 27 metres. And you'll get some that will be here, there, all over the place. Absolutely all over the place. You won't believe it until you actually try it for yourself. But yeah, so do try it for yourself, because it is vitally important to consistent, accurate shooting, finding the right pellet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my trusty QIS in there and shoot the middle target. Put 5 shots in there. I pulled that left. Hey, I'm only human. Trying to shoot through the same hole now. There you go. They all went pretty much through the same hole, apart from the, like I say, the second shot I pulled, but then I was aiming for where I'd hit with the second shot, and I put another 3 pellets through the same hole. But that just demonstrates to you, let's turn that off. That just demonstrates to you how important it is to actually go through various brands of pellets. I know I've put just BSA and then what I actually shoot through this particular rifle. But yeah, it's important that you get those groupings nice and tight. Once you've found the pellet that you want to stick with, you can refine things down. There's quite a lot of things you can do to make that rifle and that pellet even more accurate. So here's the target. I've just gone down range to get it. And as you can see, these are the Gold Stars. These are the Silver Stars. That's a pretty tight group of 4 there, discounting that one. As you can see, my R10 SE does not like the Black Stars. And these are the Green Stars. Again, this was a wayward shot on my part, but that's quite a reasonable group in there at 27 metres for the lead-free alternative. And again here, you can see these are my QIS. That was my first shot on the right there. And then the 4 subsequent shots, actually very, very similar to the Silver Star there. That's a pretty tight group, 27 metres in the wind conditions we've got. But like I said, you're not looking to hit the red bullseye every time when you're testing pellets, although I have done with the pellet that I use regularly. What you're looking for is this, the grouping, the tightness of these groups. So out of all of those pellets, discounting the ones I normally use, out of this short testing today, I would narrow it down to the Silver Star and the Green Star. And then I would continue shooting those, and then I'll explain some of the things you can do to make these groups even tighter. So there we go. We've tested 5 different types of pellets, 4 from the BSA premium range. Only one of them didn't really perform in this rifle, which I'm very pleased to say has impressed me. Obviously I'm going to stick with my tried and tested QIS, but that's just for this rifle. I know for a fact that my R12 CLX Pro actually does love the Gold Stars, and that's all I shoot through it after having tested loads of different brands from different manufacturers, including QIS. Doesn't like them, it likes the Gold Stars, so that's what I shoot through it. So let's say you've chosen your pellet, you've found a pellet that gives you a really nice group consistently at varying ranges on the range. So there's your tin of pellets that you've just bought from the shop. Now there are a number of things you can do now to make these even more accurate. And it's something that a lot of target shooters, a lot of competition shooters will do religiously. It's not something that I do. Most of the shooting I do is pest control, and to get a grouping at 27 metres, the size of a 5p piece or a fingernail, is more than adequate. And it's more than adequate for 95% of us, unless you want to do competition shooting. And in that case, you get your tin of pellets, you tip them into a sieve, and you run them under some warm water, not hot, warm water, under the tap, in the kitchen sink, tip them out onto some kitchen towel, spread them out, let them dry off. Another thing that you can do after that is that you can weigh them individually. Yes, people do individually weigh their pellets, and sort them into batches. So they might be 8.6 grains on the tin, and when you weigh them, there's 50 of them are 8.6 grains, 20 of them are 8.7 grains, 35 of them might be 8.64 grains. Split them out into batches, discard the ones at either end of the scale, and stick with the ones that are close to what they're actually supposed to weigh. It may well be that the ones at either end of the scale might shoot better in your rifle, but if you're only getting sort of 10, 12 out of a 10, you're going to have to buy a lot of tins to replicate the weight of those pellets. So the bulk of the pellets will be in a spread. You'll probably have 3 different weight groups that are acceptable. You know, it's just a slight variation on what they're supposed to be. Once you've done that, you can apply some pellet lube if you like. A lot of people like to lube their pellets after they've washed and dried them and weighed them. The final extreme, once you've sorted through all those pellets, you've found the perfect weight for the pellet, the last thing you can do is size them. Now you can buy little gadgets that look like little credit cards with holes drilled into them, and you literally sit there and push head first, drop each pellet through the sizer, and it will tell you the minute variations, and we are talking hundredths of a millimetre here, on the skirt diameter. And again, you can sort them into like 4.51 millimetre, 4.52 millimetre, 4.53 millimetre sizes out of the batch that you've all previously weighed, and then you can go and shoot those ones through your rifle downrange in ideally calm conditions, to find the absolute perfect pellet weight and skirt size for your rifle. Now it's a very laborious task. It's not something that I recommend everybody does. It's something worth doing once, just to see the differences pellet to pellet in a tin of pellets. But unless you're seriously competing in competition, there is no need to actually do it. It's just an interesting thing to see the variation. So that's it really. Choose a pellet that you can get a consistent group with, re-zero your rifle with that pellet so you can hit the bullseye on your target, and yeah, just enjoy your shooting.